The endless void exploded like a spatial bell, trembling and echoing. Jiangjuesher and Dao Sovereign's figures interwove crazily. They kept using their mystical powers. Dharmic powers and divine light stretched through the void. All sorts of Dharma idols appeared, causing the void to seem like a world evolving faster. They used the divine might Great Heaven Palm at the same time to destroy all the other party's Dharma idols, but they couldn't hurt the other party. I didn't expect Master to also teach him. This thought appeared in their minds. Although their cultivation levels were already powerful, none of their mystical powers had greater destructive power than the divine might Great Heaven Palm. The power of the divine might Great Heaven Palm also caused a discussion among the mighty figures in the hall. Is this the mystical power that the heavenly sage used against the prodigies? It looks ordinary, but its destructive power is truly terrifying. The hidden sect's lineage will be indestructible with this mystical power. These two are both impressive. They can dominate an area. It was not only the discussion in the hall. The entire 10 Absolute City was also bustling with noise and exclamations. Han Huang frowned. Logically speaking, he naturally hoped that Jiangjuesher could win, as he did not understand Dao Sovereign. He knew Jiangjuesher's strength well. He didn't expect there to be an existence in the hidden sect who could resist him. He looked around. Were these chaotic fiend celestials all so strong? He suddenly couldn't understand. No wonder Father is so calm about my improvement. Han Huang felt ashamed. What was his father thinking when he showed off to him? They're getting serious, Zhao Xinyuan suddenly said excitedly. Jiang Yi also looked expectant. All the disciples knew that the three of them were inseparable. Seeing their expressions, they couldn't help but be curious about the strength that Dao Sovereign would display. Azure Heaven Mystic stared at Dao Sovereign in the sky, his heart beating faster. That was... A meandering river condensed around Dao Sovereign and occupied more than half of the void. He was like dust in the huge waves, extremely tiny. His aura soared as the river appeared, causing the void to change color. Jiangjuesher was moved. What is this? This was the first time Jiangjuesher had encountered such a power. Not daring to be careless, he immediately used his great creation, the Great Reincarnation Creation Technique. Divine light burst out from his body. Creation halos rose from his feet and expanded. His aura increased. Junior Jiang, I'm sorry. I'm not only giving Junior Huang pressure. I'm definitely taking this top position. Dao Sovereign laughed wantonly. The meandering river stirred up a huge wave 100 million feet tall. Countless shadows rushed out from the waves and shouted as they attacked Jiangjuesher. Someone in the hall exclaimed, "The River of Destiny?" The other mighty figures were in an uproar. Dao Sovereign could actually control the chaotic River of Destiny? The chaotic River of Destiny had been established for countless years. The power of karma it contained was unimaginable. The shadows in the waves were the shadows of cultivators since ancient times. There were so many of them. Jiangjuesher raised his arms and circulated the Great Reincarnation Creation Technique crazily. 9 Dharma idols that were identical to him rose above his head and waved the divine might Great Heaven Palm in all directions. Boom! 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 The waves of destiny that came from all directions were dispersed one after another, but the river of destiny was endless and could not be stopped by a few palms. Jiangjuesher felt unprecedented pressure. This pressure was even greater than when he faced Han Huang. Although Han Huang could defeat him, that was the difference in dharmic powers. The river of destiny, Han Ling muttered to herself as she grabbed her sleeve. She was thinking about how her emperor soldiers would collide with the river of destiny. Hanju was also a little surprised. Dao Sovereign was something. He originally thought that Jiangjuesher would definitely win, but he did not expect a variable to appear, Even he felt that it was a variable, let alone the others. Jiangjueshi was the heavenly court's divine general, after all. He had contributed greatly and was famous. Dao Sovereign had kept a low profile for millions of years. Very few people had heard of him before the chaotic assembly. A dark horse. Junior Jiang, you're really powerful. You have to know that Zhao Shenyuan and Jiang Yi can't stop me even if they join forces. Dao Sovereign laughed loudly. His voice resounded throughout 10 Absolute City. Zhao Xuanyuan's and Jiang Yi's smiles froze. Damn it! Zhao Shenyuan slapped the table and stood up. Junior Jiang, beat this son of a Bixinghao TCH. The black-held chicken smiled. Come on. Jiangjueshi shouldn't be able to win. Zhao Shenyuan was even more furious. No! Chu Shiren's voice suddenly sounded. Everyone looked at the sky. The surging waves of the chaotic river of destiny parted on both sides. Jiangjueshi, who was covered in divine light, stepped out. His figure grew several times taller with every step he took. The rings of light constantly surged into his body. Strange and mysterious golden runes began to appear around his body. They looked like words and patterns. Jiangjueshi's long hair fluttered as it lost its black color from the divine light. His eyes lost their pupils, and a black circle appeared between his eyebrows. Wisps of black aura overflowed and continued to strengthen like raging flames. Jiangjueshi's robes fluttered as his aura increased again. He waved his right hand, and the golden runes around him attacked like a tornado. The black circle between his eyebrows overflowed with a black aura and became the center of the tornado. It was like a black sword chi that pressed forward and dispersed the chaotic river of destiny. It was unstoppable. Dao Sovereign's expression changed slightly. He immediately formed a seal, and 2 divine weapons flew out from the river of destiny on both sides. They were like halberds, one black and one white. They crossed 10,000 feet away and blocked Jiangjueshi's great creation mystical power. The black and white halberds trembled violently. The sound produced by the collision was deafening and extremely ear-piercing. In a flash, the black and white halberds suddenly fused together. A terrifying force erupted and dispersed Jiangjueshi's great creation mystical power, causing the void to shake violently. Oh no! The ultimate god of punishment suddenly disappeared from the hall and appeared in the void of the battle, using his dermic powers to stabilize the space. His appearance caused an uproar in 10 Absolute City. The battle between the two could actually break the power of rules set by the ultimate god of punishment. The ultimate god of punishment's appearance made Jiangjueshi and Dao Sovereign stop. They looked at him. Continue fighting. I will stabilize this space so you can fight to your heart's content, the ultimate god of punishment said expressionlessly as a storm brewed in his heart. These two were only great Dao sages, but they had such strength. In the future, when they attained the great Dao Supreme, they would have the right to reach the top of the chaos. These words offended Yang Tiandong, Su Qi, Long Hao, Fang Liang, Sun Chang'an, and the other disciples. Jiangjueshi smiled and nodded before attacking again. He continued to walk forward. His right hand kept casting spells. The golden runes around him flowed with light and kept attacking Dao Sovereign. No matter where he attacked, the black and white halberd would block in time. It moved extremely quickly and left behind afterimages. At first glance, it seemed to form a huge circle to protect Dao Sovereign. Dao Sovereign did wait for death. He smiled to himself and said, "In that case, I'll be ruthless and let you know that my 10 million years of danger was not nonsense. Master, watch carefully. Who is your most outstanding disciple?" Dao Sovereign raised his right arm. His arm was straight and his palm was clenched into a fist. The endless chaotic river of destiny quickly surged over and drowned him. At this moment, Jiangjueshi had already reached 1,000,000 feet tall. The light on his body was already very dazzling, like a god who had just awakened the chaos. He was high and mighty. At this moment, Jiangjueshi's aura had already reached its peak. Countless living beings could feel his invincible aura even separated by the sky. How powerful! Is this the peerless prodigy of the hidden sect? They want to fight for the eternal peak. It's indeed impressive to force the leader of the divine spirits to personally protect them. I suddenly feel that it makes sense that I've stopped before the Thousand Lords. Jiangjueshi has the aura of an unparalleled expert. Han Ling looked at her father and asked, "Father, who will win?" Han Ju said, "Jiangjueshi is still lacking." Damn! Why was Dao Sovereign so ferocious? Was Su? Han Ju was surprised. He could feel that Dao Sovereign was accumulating power. This power was already enough to overturn ordinary Great Dao Supremes. One had to know that Jiangjueshi would be a Dao creator in the future. How could Dao Sovereign win? Han Ju suddenly realized that he had never deduced Dao Sovereign's future. The future fate had been changing. Could it be that ever since Dao Sovereign entered the consciousnessless Great Dao world, his fate had also changed? Very likely. At this moment, the accumulated chaotic river of destiny suddenly exploded. A terrifying figure broke free from the waves and jumped out. He punched Jiangjueshi's body and pierced through his chest. Blood splattered through the air. Zhao Xianyuan and Jiang Yi looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Destruction Authority General. Jiang Yi muttered, "All right. This kid even hid it from his brothers." Zhao Xianyuan was also very unhappy. The others did not notice their emotions as they watched the battle nervously. The sudden attack pierced through Jiangjueshi's chest, but he did not panic at all. A spatial vortex appeared in his chest and crushed his arm. His chest recovered. The Destruction Authority General was about to continue attacking when an invisible force forced him back. Just as he stabilized himself, the Destruction Authority General exploded and vanished. On the other hand, Jiangjueshi was still so majestic and showed no signs of injury. Jiangjueshi was about to continue forward when he suddenly felt something and suddenly turned around. He saw that Dao Sovereign had unknowingly appeared behind him. He held the black and white halberd in both hands and flashed out. The sound of the halberd colliding was extremely ear-piercing, as if it contained some kind of magic. Even Jiangjueshi was stunned. The situation suddenly changed. Boom! The black and white halberd emitted a terrifying black wind and white blades that swept through the entire void. The ultimate god of punishment's armor trembled and his cloak fluttered behind him. Facing this violent attack, Jiangjueshi had just recovered when his body had already transformed into a flying star, leaving only his head. His eyes widened as he looked at Dao Sovereign with a hint of shock. Dao Sovereign was expressionless. He threw out his two halberds and surrounded Jiangjueshi's head. Black lightning erupted along the halberd blade and interwove into a lightning net to trap him. Jiangjueshi condensed and recovered his body. Countless bolts of lightning interwove on his body, causing him extreme pain. He had no choice but to use the power of creation to block. Dao Sovereign leaped up. Thunder clouds had unknowingly appeared above him and hung high above his head. After entering the thunder cloud, it surged violently. It was vast and boundless, as if it covered the entire chaos. Whoosh! The thunder clouds suddenly burst open and a Destruction Authority General that was dozens of times more majestic than before appeared. The 10 million foot tall Jiangjueshi was inferior to an eyeball of the Destruction Authority General. The Destruction Authority General punched down. Space collapsed and the bottom of the chaos shook like an earthquake. In the blink of an eye, all the living beings in 10 Absolute City only felt the sky flash before the two sides collided again. Zhao Shenyuan swallowed. Not bad. Junior Jiang is really fierce. Zhao Shuangquan and Azure Heaven Mystic were a little stunned. Ji Xianshan stood beside Azure Heaven Mystic and sighed. If you can obtain the Eternal Peak now, what's the point of this chaos to you? Azure Heaven Mystic came back to his senses and nodded heavily. He stared at the sky with a burning gaze. The strong light in the sky dissipated. The thunder cloud had already dissipated. Tao Sovereign stood proudly in the void looking down at Jiang Jueshi. Jiang Jueshi was no longer 10 million feet tall. Only his soul was left. His body was still surrounded by black lightning, and he could not move. He stared at Tao Sovereign and asked, "What was that just now?" Tao Sovereign looked down at him and said, "The great Tao Providence divine authority. It is the power that surpasses the 3,000 great Tao." With that, Jiang Jueshi's soul dissipated like smoke. The hidden sex Tao Sovereign defeated the hidden sex Jiang Jueshi. Hanju frowned and asked in his mind, "I want to know the state of Tao Sovereign when he is strongest in the future." 5 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Wow! 5 times the value of a Tao creator. Continue! Hanju wanted to see how strong the future Tao Sovereign was. Hanju's consciousness entered the illusion after he chose to continue. He opened his eyes and saw a cliff ahead. On the other side of the cliff was an absolute blankness. It was endless, as if it was the end of the world. He turned around and discovered an endless plain behind him. Countless Tao Seekers knelt on the ground, their foreheads touching the ground. They spread to the ends of the earth and were drowned by the endless chaotic chi. At a glance, there were at least 10 million cultivators of all races. They all worshipped in the same direction, a blank domain. What were they doing? Waiting for the future Tao Sovereign to descend? Hanju found it strange. At this moment, the cultivator closest to the cliff looked up. Hanju had seen him before. Previously, when the million great Tao sages surrounded him, this person was among them. He seemed to be a great Tao divine spirit. At that time, his cultivation was already not far from the great Tao supreme realm. Ancient great Tao Sovereign, if you are still around, please show your divinity. The dilapidated chaos is facing danger again. We great Tao sages are ashamed and unable to defeat you. We hope that you can help. The great Tao divine spirit wailed as he knelt. Hanju had a strange expression. Why would the great Tao divine spirit make such a gesture? Broken chaos. Could this be the future after the chaos was overthrown? At this moment, 2 domineering auras came from the depths of the blank domain, far beyond the great Tao Supreme. Hanju turned around and saw a terrifying figure rising from the cliff. It was a figure emitting a dazzling silver light. Hanju and the 10 million cultivators looked extremely tiny in front of him, even smaller than dust. Hanju couldn't see his appearance clearly. He saw a pair of eyes appear above the terrifying figure. They were extremely cold, and flames burned beside his eyes. There was a space between the two. For some reason, Hanju felt that they were like Jiang Yi and Zhao Shenyuan. The great Tao divine spirit said excitedly when he saw them, 2 supremacies, will the great Tao sovereign agree? An ancient and cold voice sounded. The great Tao sovereign is listening to the Tao in front of the Lord. Leave the matter of the chaos to us. Lord! Creator Lord? This was the only possibility. He had no reason to be at the same realm as Tao Sovereign. But the other party is the master of a great Tao world. His cultivation level surpasses the great Tao Supreme, and he threatened to challenge the great Tao Supreme. Otherwise, the chaos will be destroyed. The great Tao Divine Spirit said excitedly, his tone filled with pleading. In his era, the great Tao Divine Spirits were still very impressive. It seemed that many great Tao worlds appeared after the chaos was destroyed. TSK, I'm really impressive. I raised the upper limit of the chaos alone. To overthrow the chaos, one had to have the strength that surpassed the ninth chaos. In the entire chaos, Hanju felt that only he was qualified, so all the credit fell on him. The ancient and cold voice sounded, I said, leave this matter to us. That great Tao world lord is indeed powerful, but he was once of the same generation as us. We can naturally defeat him. The illusion shattered. Hanju opened his eyes and frowned. What was this? He had not even seen Tao Sovereign. How could this be his strongest state? Hanju felt cheated. At this moment, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Tao Sovereign, mid-stage Tao Creator, Master of the Great Tao Providence Divine Authority, personal disciple of the Creator Lord, Great Tao Sovereign. Because he contributed greatly to the promotion of the Endless Era, he was given the title of Great Tao Sovereign by the Creator Lord. He oversees all the Great Tao worlds. Amazing! Was this the future Tao Sovereign? How domineering! Hanju secretly asked, am I the Creator Lord here? Karma can change at any time. You can't predict yourself. You can only guess. Humph. How useless. Father, did Senior Zhang's failure make you unhappy? Hanling suddenly asked. Hanju relaxed his eyebrows and smiled. No, I just thought of something about cultivation. Hanling was no longer puzzled. At this moment, the hall was still discussing Tao Sovereign. Tao Sovereign was definitely the greatest dark horse in the chaotic assembly. Many mighty figures thought that he had a chance to obtain the eternal peak. The battle space in the sky had already changed to a pair of geniuses. One of them was the chaotic fiend celestial of the hidden sect. The discussions in 10 Absolute City revolved around the hidden sect. TSK, the hidden sect's Tao Sovereign defeated the hidden sect's Jiangjuesher. The hidden sect has so many peerless geniuses. Will the hidden sect occupy all the spots of the 10 Absolutes? Not really. Formless World can at least obtain one spot or even the eternal peak. As long as he succeeds, the remaining 9 will all be from the hidden sect. It will only make him stronger. The hidden sect is indeed powerful. Why are there so many chaotic fiend celestials? Junior, don't you know? A long time ago, the previous leader of the divine spirits controlled the divine authority generals to slaughter the chaotic fiend celestials. It was the divine might heavenly sage who saved them. It's normal for so many chaotic fiend celestials to acknowledge him as their master. When I think of how Jiangjuesher and Tao Sovereign couldn't even withstand a single strike from the divine might heavenly sage, I worship him. This battle became a stalemate. The scene was still very magnificent, but it was much inferior to the previous battle. Especially after time passed, it was impossible to highlight the strength of one of them. In the courtyard, Tao Sovereign was in high spirits and was surrounded by his fellow disciples. Jiangjuesher was not depressed. He only looked at Tao Sovereign in a daze. Han Huang walked over and patted his shoulder. It's fine. I'll defeat him for you. Jiangjuesher shook his head and smiled. I'm fine. I just thought of something Master said. What is it? Han Huang was curious. Jiangjuesher could actually smile. Han Huang was silent. The black-held chicken walked past and smiled proudly. That's right. Actually, I lost on purpose. After all, my seniority is high. It won't look good if I defeat you. Therefore, before I met you again, I directly admitted defeat. The chaotic heavenly dog followed behind him and shouted, Brother Chicken is invincible. Jiangjuesher laughed, while Han Huang was speechless. Han Qinger smiled and said, Senior brother Jiang is already very strong, okay? After all, senior brother Dao has been under my father for longer. When the next chaotic assembly begins, senior brother Jiang will definitely be able to dominate. There was a high chance that the 10 absolutes would no longer participate in the next chaotic assembly. They had already proved themselves. The Eternal Peak was strictly forbidden from participating again. The battle in the sky lasted for several hours. In the end, the chaotic fiend celestial of the hidden sect was still defeated. There was no legend of the hidden sect being undefeated in the Battle of the 100 Sovereigns. Hanju felt that it was normal. Those who could reach this point were all geniuses. He could only pray that the hidden sect disciples would not bump into each other. However, good times did not last. The next battle was Zhao Xianyuan vs Chu Shiren. However, the truth surprised Hanju again. Chu Shiren actually won. Zhao Xuanyuan's Great Dao Providence Divine Authority was clearly inferior to Dao Sovereigns, and Chu Shiren's Buddhist Dharma had already reached the Great Dao realm. Although he was at the early stage Great Dao Sage realm, his dharmic powers were like the late stage Great Dao Sage realm. It was quite magical. The battle continued. In the future, hidden sect disciples would appear every 2 rounds at most. The spectators in 10 Ultimate City side. If not for the chaotic assembly, how long would the hidden sect have hidden its strength? Hanling was also shocked. How did her father gather so many geniuses? The hidden sect occupied more than 20 spots among the top 100 geniuses in the chaos. Hanling looked at her father. Hanju's expression was calm as he stared at the sky in a daze. Half a month later, there were Houshufo geniuses left. One of them was left out. Zhao Shuangchuan was lucky to obtain this spot. After that, the chances of hidden sect disciples meeting each other increased. Guan Bubi fought the Flesh Fiend Celestial and won. Liao fought the 9 Yin Fiend Celestial and won. The Heavenly Constellation Fiend Celestial fought Jiang Yi and won. In the courtyard of 10 Absolute City, Zhao Xianyuan, Jiang Yi, and Laodan surrounded Dao Sovereign. Not far away, the other hidden sect disciples were looking up at the sky to watch the battle. TSK, I didn't expect that only you of the 3 brothers could survive until the 10 absolutes. Unexpectedly, Zhao Xianyuan and Jiang Yi were also very depressed. Dao Sovereign smiled. That's normal. After all, Master has always taken good care of his disciples. As his cultivation level continues to break through, the spirit chi in the Dao field will also increase. Sometimes, he will even preach the Dao. Even a dog or chicken can ascend to the heavens. 2 pairs of eyes landed on him, but he ignored them. Laodan looked at the great Dao sages of the hidden sect and sighed. In this 10 absolutes, the hidden sect will occupy half of the spots. He suddenly felt that Heavenly Venerate Xian Du was really wise. Having Hanju as a backing was much more promising than staying in the human school. The battle for the 10 absolutes continued. 10 Absolute City had already begun to make all sorts of predictions about the Eternal Peak. There were even gambling dens. Formless World was too strong. Every battle ended very quickly. Most importantly, the opponent couldn't touch him at all. Han Huang and Dao Sovereign were ranked 2nd and 3rd. On the other side, at the edge of the chaos, a rolling black aura surged in the boundless mist. The scene zoomed in, and one could see that the black aura came from dozens of pits in the ground, like smoke spilling out of a volcano. The black aura surged violently, and a figure could be vaguely seen floating inside. The figure expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. Soon, it was like a mountain giant hidden in the black mist. Chaos! It's time to overthrow it. A hoarse voice slowly sounded, its tone filled with terrifying hatred. In the hall, the mighty figures were discussing a name, Murongchi. Hanju was very satisfied with Murongchi's performance. He discovered that many disciples had given him a surprise. After another battle, there were only 13 people left in the chaotic assembly. Among them, Zhao Shuangquan got a free pass. The last battle was not an internal fight of the hidden sect. It lasted for half a day. Now, there were 12 victors. 7 of them were from the hidden sect. They were Han Huang, Dao Sovereign, Guan Bubi, Chu Shiren, Li Yao, Murongqi, and the heavenly constellation Fiend Celestial. Including Zhao Shuangquan, there were a total of 8 of them. The terrifying dominance made the various factions tremble. They had witnessed every battle with their own eyes and knew that the strength of the 8 hidden sect disciples was not exaggerated. The ultimate god of punishment did not deliberately side with the hidden sect. Otherwise, the number of internal conflicts in the hidden sect would decrease greatly. Almost all of the 8 hidden sect disciples who stood out stepped on their fellow disciples to ascend. The ultimate god of punishment's voice resounded throughout the city, causing all living beings to discuss intensely. The 3 of them were all geniuses of the hidden sect. If they chose to challenge the other 4 geniuses who did not belong to the hidden sect and won, 9 out of 10 were geniuses of the hidden sect? Gasp! At this moment, countless living beings were shocked. The ultimate god of punishment waved his hand and moved the 13 geniuses into the hall. The ultimate god of punishment said, Zhao Shuangquan, Li Yao, Chu Shiren, the 3 of you can choose your opponents. The 3 of them looked at each other and hesitated. From the looks of it, they should not challenge their fellow disciples, but the remaining 4 had ridiculously high cultivation levels. The weakest was at the late stage Great Tao Sage realm, and 2 of them had even reached the Great Tao Supreme realm. Whoever faced them would die. Hanju said, choose according to your heart. At this point, you should think for yourself. The 3 of them heaved a sigh of relief. The mighty figures also quietened down. Only they knew what they were thinking. Senior Guan, I challenge you. Zhao Shuangquan took a step forward and pointed at Guan Bubi. Guan Bubi raised his eyebrows and was secretly unhappy. They treated him as the weakest. He didn't say anything and just nodded proudly. The ultimate god of punishment immediately sent the 2 of them into the battle space. The battle was about to begin. Han Ling asked, Father, who do you think will win? Hanju shook his head and didn't say anything. From his cultivation and performance, Guan Bubi was more than a little stronger than Zhao Shuangquan. However, he couldn't stop Zhao Shuangquan from cheating. With Zhao Shuangquan's cultivation level that had just attained the Great Tao Sage realm, he should not even be able to advance to this stage. However, this fellow had won all the way and had turned the tables many times. Others didn't know Zhao Shuangquan's background, but Hanju knew that this was the true strongest brother. Zhao Shuangquan was suppressed by Guan Bubi the moment the battle began. Guan Bubi was the unbeatable Fiend Celestial. He relied on his unbeatable Dao heart and used his full strength. Zhao Shuangquan's mystical power was impressive and exquisite. Unfortunately, he couldn't defeat Guan Bubi. 5 minutes later, Guan Bubi smiled in satisfaction. He didn't care about Zhao Shuangquan's indignant gaze. Hanju secretly thought that Guan Bubi would probably be pestered by Zhao Shuangquan in the future. Guan Bubi defeated Zhao Shuangquan and became the first genius of the 10 absolutes. Liao did not choose someone from the hidden sect. His name was the Universe Sage. King. Liao had always been thought of by the hidden sect disciples as the female version of Hanju. She cultivated diligently all year round and her cultivation level was considered the top among the personal disciples. She was naturally not bad. Her sword Dao had already reached greater mastery and had its own realm. As for the Universe Sage King, He was also powerful and had perfected Great Tao Sage cultivation. Their battle was very exciting, and it was temporarily difficult to tell who was stronger. In the courtyard of 10 Absolute City, Zhao Shuangquan's expression was ashamed as he faced Su Qi. Su Qi consoled him. "It's fine. You've already tried your best. Your results make me very glad." Azure Heaven Mystic snorted. "That's right. You've at least touched the threshold of the 10 Absolutes. You're really lucky." He was also eliminated and felt extremely depressed. Zhao Shuangquan glanced around. The courtyard was filled with losers. His mood improved. Etian cursed. "Stop being depressed. I'm the one who's depressed. The damned formless world blocked my entrance to the 10 Absolutes." Everyone fell silent at the mention of formless world. Their gazes landed on Han Tua, who sat under the tree and looked at the sky in silence. Etian wasn't the only one who lost a formless world. Han Tua was the same. Everyone looked at Han Tua and sighed. With Han Tuo's cultivation, not to mention the eternal peak, obtaining the 10 Absolutes was nothing difficult. He never expected to encounter formless world. Several hours later, Li Yao was still defeated. The Universe Sage King was indeed powerful. Hanju could tell that he already had the preliminary idea of creating his own Great Tao world. He used the power of the Great World to suppress Li Yao's Sword Tao and won openly. Perhaps because he knew Li Yao's identity, the Universe Sage King did not defeat her into a sorry state. He stopped and ended it with a bow. The Universe Sage King's appearance made Hanju realize that many Great Tao sages in the chaos already had the thoughts of creating their own Great Tao worlds. However, they were still exploring. The successful ones were probably suppressed by the 9th chaos, so their cultivation of the Great Tao world was isolated. After the Universe Sage King reached the 10 Absolutes, the third battle continued. Chu Shuren stood up and chose not to fight with his fellow disciples. He challenged a prodigy called Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven. Hanju showed a frown. On the surface, Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven cultivation was at the perfected Great Tao Sage realm, but in fact, he was at the Great Tao Supreme realm. Hanju couldn't remind him about this. It was just a spar, not a life and death battle. The battle began. Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven was abnormal. It was not like before when he would test the waters. He directly used his full strength. Chu Shuren clearly did not expect Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven to be so powerful. Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven also had the trend of establishing a Great Tao world. He was not the only one. Chu Shuren had actually established another Buddhist world in the depths of his soul. The Battle of the Embryonic Great Tao World. Hanju sighed. As expected of prodigies, they had already begun to touch a higher realm of Tao attainment. Amazing! The more Chu Shuren fought, the more shocked he became. He had relied on the power of the Buddhist world to be invincible. He had killed his way to this point. He did not expect the 10 Absolutes to have such power. After a fierce battle, Chu Shuren was still defeated because of the difference in cultivation. At this point, the top 10 were decided. They were Han Huang, Tao Sovereign, Wan Bubi, Morochi, Heavenly Constellation Fiend Celestial, Huang Zuntian, Formless World, Great Heaven God King, Universe Sage King, and Zhou Song's Great Tao Heaven. The ultimate god of punishment personally announced these 10 names. His voice resounded throughout 10 Absolute City, causing the entire city to cheer and shout. The battle for the Eternal Peak will happen in a month. I will make adjustments and prepare to put the 10 geniuses into a certain domain together. The one who survives until the end will be the Eternal Peak. The ultimate god of punishment's voice resounded throughout the entire 10 Absolute City, causing an uproar. The mighty figures in the hall were also stunned. Didn't they agree to fight one-on-one? Hanju glanced at the ultimate god and frowned. This rule was too friendly to the hidden sect. It was just a sudden change in the rules. What would the chaos think of the hidden sect? Didn't the ultimate god of punishment have a max favorability? Why did he do such a thing? The ultimate god of punishment said, "This rule has actually been set for a long time, but I've never said it. This is the reason why I organized the chaotic assembly. What I want is not for the geniuses to fight for supremacy, but to get to know each other and motivate each other." In the past, the chaos was endless and the various domains did not interfere with each other. The chaotic void was desolate. Do you really think such a chaos has a future? These words only sounded in the hall. 10 Absolute City was still arguing about the new rules. Public opinion was extremely bad for the hidden sect. The 10 Absolutes were also in the hall. They listened carefully, wanting to hear the ultimate god's explanation. Let me talk about my past first. A long time ago, I was as high-spirited as the prodigies in the hall. I believe some ancient existences should know that I was later suppressed by the previous leader of the divine spirits, just like Pango and the Tao ancestor in the past. However, the place where I was suppressed was this place, the bottom of the chaos. There are countless ghosts here. Hatred is overflowing. I've also been lost and wanted to take revenge on the chaos. Later, I suddenly realized that what I should hate is not the chaos, but the order of the chaos. In the years that I was suppressed, I discovered that the bottom of the chaos is not the true bottom. The ultimate god of punishment stopped here. All the mighty figures in the hall were paying attention. This was not the bottom of the chaos. What did this mean? Only when the primordial chaos is shattered will there be chaos. I guess that when the chaos is shattered, the world below will see the light of day. You might think that this is nothing, but have you heard of the existence of the primordial life form? Even that primordial fiend celestial is an illusory legend.